Welcome back to Sailing El Jaleo. Last week we made it to the upper Pungo River where we anchored for a couple of days. This week we're going to head through the Alligator River-Pungo River Canal, which is basically a 20-mile long man-made ditch. We anchor on the other side for one night before heading up Alligator River and transiting the soon-to-be replaced Alligator River swing bridge. From there, we anchor right on the edge of Albemarle Sound, and I think that's about as far as we're going to get this week, so we might as well go ahead and get right into it. Grab a drink, climb aboard, and let's get going. As we got underway, we headed into the Alligator River-Pungo River Canal, which is essentially a 20-ish mile long ditch that you'd be shocked to find out connects the Alligator River to the Pungo River. Now, heading into this area, it is a cellular dead zone, at least for Verizon. That's what I have. And, you know, judging from the comments that other people have left about the anchorages in Alligator River, I do believe that extends to other carriers as well. So all along the Alligator River-Pungo River Canal, you will have spotty reception. Once I get to the Alligator River, I lose all reception until I get about 3/4 of the way back up the Alligator River. So it's a pretty significant dead zone. And I do always anchor for the night in Alligator River. So one thing I like to do, because I have gotten stuck there before and I haven't had access to weather data because, you know, I didn't have any cell reception. And, you know, Starlink is becoming a lot more popular, so this probably doesn't apply to a lot of people, but I don't have Starlink. It's just too expensive for me. But so one thing that I do is I always do take screenshots as soon as I enter the Alligator River-Pungo River Canal. If I'm going northbound or if I'm going southbound, as soon as I get through the Alligator River swing bridge, I open up my weather app and I take a screenshot of the wind profile for the next week, and I also do it with a couple of different profiles or different forecast models. So I have some sort of an idea of what kind of wind I might expect, and I also take a shot or a capture of the actual weather itself, the temperatures, and whether it's going to rain or not, that kind of thing. It's useful data to have, and if you record it, you know, if you have a screenshot of it, then you can go back and look at it if you do need it. There is one thing that I've been waiting to talk about. I wanted to see how it all shook out, and I have to say, this last 6 or 7 weeks has really revolutionized the way that I deal with garbage. You know, when I took Frankenbeans out of the water back in the Waccamaw, when I was pulling Frankenbeans out and rolling Frank up and putting him on the deck, I knew that I wouldn't be able to dispose of trash as regularly as I had in the past. There's always a boat ramp or a landing where you can find somewhere to discard your trash, but I knew that wasn't going to be an option anymore, and I had to figure out a way how to manage my trash so that it didn't stink the boat up. Now, the way that I had been doing it is I do have your regular kitchen trash can located below my sink, and the way that I kind of minimized or I compacted the trash that I used was I have 2 sinks, and I would use one sink. I would put all of my trash in that sink, and this probably sounds kind of gross, but I never used the second sink. And that allowed me to stage all of my trash, and then I could pack it all nice and neat together. So if I had a dog food can, I would stuff tissues, paper towels, you know, that kind of stuff inside the can and really compact it, and then I would put that can in the garbage. Now, some of the times, you know, paper towels and stuff are wet. The dog food can might have some lingering, you know, dog food remnants in it. So on average, I would create one 13-gallon bag of trash per month, which is, you know, it's not that bad. It's pretty reasonable. But after about 3 weeks, it would really start to stink. There's no kind way to put it. So I would usually empty the trash once every 3 or 4 weeks, and now I wasn't going to be able to do that. So I really needed to come up with a new way to handle my trash, and I didn't, to my discredit, and it's for a couple of reasons, I didn't recycle. I could use the cans to compact my trash, all of the plastic and all of the paper towels and stuff, like I said. Now, every bag that I have, every Ziploc bag, whether it be a dog treat bag or a you know, whatever, if it's a Ziploc bag that I had put something in like pasta, I would always reuse every bag that I had. Even if it was a dog food bag, I would reuse it. I would use it for my wet wipes, you know, for in the morning when you have to take care of stuff. So I would put my wet wipes in there, and I would reuse stuff that way. Now, I always tried to use everything twice. Paper towels you really can't use twice. That was a one-use thing. Kleenex I would use twice. I would blow my nose on one corner or one side of it. I'd let it dry and then blow my nose on the other side of it. It sounds kind of gross, but you know what? It cuts my Kleenex use in half. So you really try and minimize stuff, and the way that I'm handling trash now is completely different. I completely separate everything. I allow everything to dry. So all of my tissues, and even if I have a wet paper towel, I'll hang it up over an edge and allow it to dry. And I put all of my dry paper products and even plastic products, you know, like you tear off the top of a dog treat bag. All of those tops now go into my dry storage. So I reuse my, you know, when you go shopping, you get the little plastic bags. I reuse those. I put all of the dry stuff in there. Now my dog food cans and stuff like that, I am separating that. I'll leave it on the counter. I'll try and scrape it out as best I can. And I'm not going to use water to rinse it out because that's a waste of water, but I allow it to dry on the counter, and that really cuts down on the odor. Now my aluminum, which I use a lot of aluminum, I'll shake those cans out really well, and I'll leave them on the counter before I go to bed, and in the morning they're completely dry inside. So I'll crush them. I store them separately, and now I've got these bags of dry trash that don't stink because they're not wet. So I can actually pack those away in different cubby holes of the boat, and I can actually haul a considerable amount of trash and have no stench, which is, it sounds stupid to say, but you know, trash management is a thing on a boat that you have to think about. And the way that I'm doing it now, it has revolutionized it. Not to make it sound too grandiose, but it's really changed the way that I manage my trash. And I am now in a position where in the beginning I thought recycling was really impossible, but now I'm realizing it's not. It actually can be done. The only problem that I run into is there really is no recycling facilities like if you go to a boat dock, if you go to a pier, if you go to anywhere that you can dock for free, there's no recycling facilities. So that's an issue. But I do have some cubby holes that I can potentially store long term, like my aluminum cans. Once you crush them down, they're not that big. So I can probably store, you know, 10 or 15 shopping bags full of cans inside the boat. They don't weigh anything, so they're not going to hurt anything. They don't stink because they're not wet. So I can actually store those until I get to a place where I can recycle them effectively. So, you know, it's a little thing, but it's stuff you have to think about. The instant I was pulling Frank out of the water, I knew I was going to have to change the way I dealt with trash. And I have to say, I'm really pleasantly surprised with the way everything has worked out. And even when I do get our new dinghy and outboard for next season, I'm definitely going to handle the trash this way going forward. It's so much easier. It smells better. You can separate stuff and recycle. This is just the way to go. And I wasn't necessarily expecting a 5-minute diatribe on trash, but there you have it. It is something you need to consider. So I recorded that last night about halfway through a cocktail, so I think I veered off the path I intended there a little bit, but it is what it is. So we made it through the Alligator River-Pungo River Canal without a problem. It was really cool. We saw a couple of small deer playing on the beach there. I inserted some photos and a lot of other wildlife, so that was really neat. We stayed for one night at the bottom of Alligator River, or I guess at the top. It's weird because you go up it, you travel north, but I guess that's going down the river. So there's a couple of instances like that. The Noose River, you're actually going north, but it's going down the river. So I just say stuff backwards. I always think of north as going up, but okay. Another tangent. So anyways, we made it down the Alligator River, which is going north, and we went through the Alligator River Swing Bridge. Now, I think we're going to get one more year of the Alligator River Swing Bridge, so I don't think this was our final transit through it. After making it through the Alligator River Swing Bridge, we turned off to our starboard side. You can see a crane over there. They actually had 3 cranes out in the bay, or in the river, working on putting in new pilings for the new fixed bridge that they're building to replace the Alligator River Swing Bridge. So we anchored just beyond that crane up against the shore. The next day was projected to be nice and calm, and we wanted a calm day to make it across Albemarle Sound because it's 12 miles across and it can get pretty choppy out there in rough weather. So that was the plan. And that's all we have time for this week. I would like to give a massive shout out to my Patreon crew. Without your guys' support, I wouldn't make these videos. And my Patreon crew is Joan and Juddy Judnick, Val and Chris Alcorn, Denise and Eli Sackett, Sherry Erickson, Deb Shaw, Matthew Spotton, Peter Allen, and Natalie Linehan. Thank you guys so very much. Your support really means the world to me. I do have one legacy patron member, and her name is Joan Linbo. Unfortunately, she has passed on, but she lives on in our hearts forever. We really miss you, Joan. If you are interested in joining our Patreon crew, there is a link in the description down below, and that'll take you to our Patreon page where you can sign up. And there are hundreds, literally hundreds of extra videos and photos of our travels, and I try and keep everything there up to date and post at least once or twice a week, so it gives you a little peek behind the curtain. If you do like our videos, please like, comment, and subscribe. That'll help us out more than you'll ever know, and that actually doesn't cost you anything, so hit that like button. Alrighty, I hope you all are well, and we'll see you next week.